Okay. Hey, I have Keith Jones here with me. With Keith Buys Junk Cars, based out of Fayetteville, Georgia. That's Rashad David, Junk Car Buy Academy USA. Just wanted to do this interview with Keith Jones. Has been in the business about 20 years buying junk cars now, Keith.
Well, initially I started in like 2009 or 10.
Okay.
Let's start here. How long have you been in? Because I would only been in a couple months before I met you.
I think when I first met you at the jump out spot, it was right out, I don't remember, man. It's been a long time.
It's been a
About
long
15,
time,
16 years, something like
at
that.
least. Yeah,
Yeah,
at
for
least.
sure.
Well, I tell you, I really appreciate you asking me to be a part of this, man, because you've taken it to the next level, and I'm gonna start with why and how I got into it, and take it to how
Mm-hmm.
I met you. So, I've been in real estate since 1999, fixing and flipping, buying and holding, new construction, all that other kind of stuff. 2008, everything crashed,
Right.
and I needed to figure out a way to make some money, man. And just lo and behold, at the time I was living in Stone Mountain, and for a number of years, there was a sign at the end of my street that said, "We buy junk cars." And I never really paid much attention to it, but it literally sat there for years at the end of our street. So it just so happened.
Hold on, Keith. We got to restart this one. Hold on, brother. Just give me
Okay.
1 second. I'm sorry, brother. Man, the red towel was in the background on the bed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
How do you restart this meeting?
It's already started. Just we're gonna cut this part off. So that's the best part about this. We can start it and stop it anytime.
All right.
So now y'all can just go into just ask him how he got into the business and then
Okay. All right. Hey, this is Rashad David with Junk Car Buyer Academy. Here we have Keith Jones with Keith Buys Junk Cars, based out of Fayetteville, one of my mentors, one of the guys that brought me into the business originally. And just wanted to have this talk with Keith today because he got back into the junk car business. And I just want to talk about your past, present, and your future, man, with the cars and the business.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Rashad, man. I really appreciate this opportunity to share a business that saved my life back then, and that apparently saved yours back then. Financially is what I mean, because and when I first got into it, I was in real estate. I had been in real estate since 1999, fixing and flipping, buying and holding, doing wholesale, new construction. In fact, I was doing new construction from 2004 to 2008 when everything crashed.
Wow.
And so, man, it left me trying to figure out how to make money.
Right.
And honestly, we lost everything. I had to start all over. The junk car business brought me back in, brought me financially back to life. It really did. The junk car business, and I'm grateful for it, man. It's an incredible business. It's just funny how you and I met. I'm sure you remember the day.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember that day needing some help. I'm like, man, I can do this a lot faster if I can get some help. So I drove to, here in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. There's the people who want to work daily go stand in front of Home Depots.
Correct.
And so I pulled up at the Home Depot on Jonesboro Road, right off of 285. And there was a bunch of people there, a bunch of Spanish guys, but predominantly. And this African-American face stood out of everybody's. It was yours. I'm like, yo, man, let's go. And so as we start riding, I start telling you what I do, because at the time you didn't even know what I did. You just jumped in
Hey, man,
I said, man, I buy junk cars. I need some help. We gotta, there's different things we gotta do. And we hit it off. Man. That first day, we start picking up junk cars. And I think we worked together for probably 30 days. And you was like, man, I got this. I'm like, that's beautiful. You had a Ford Explorer at the time. I think it was red.
Yeah, it was Expedition, red for sure. It was
Expedition. Okay. Ford Expedition.
Yeah.
You like, Keith, I got this. And you went for it, man. And I'm proud of you, because I actually shared this business with, let me tell you how I found out about it. I was sitting in Whole Foods talking to one of my buddies who was in real estate at the same time I was. And as we were sitting there talking, his phone rang, and he answered the phone, said, cash for junk cars. And so I listened to his conversation, and he was negotiating about a van at the time. And I was like, man, when he hung up, I said, you doing junk cars? And he goes, yeah, man, I got to do what I got to do. I said, I heard that. I said, how much you making doing junk cars? He said, I make anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a week. I said, man, because I was hurt. I said, $500 a week, man, I'd be feeling good if I could just knew I could make $500 a week.
Right.
So he said, I teach you. And that was the opening door right there. Someone to teach me for free. It just opened their heart and shared it with me because he was going through the same thing. He had to, make money. He had a family and so on. And so I started sharing it with several other people, most of them, and then again, when I met you, because I'd actually shared it with them before I even met you. And you took it to the next level above everybody, man. You took, it's just, and so I got into the business, met you, we started doing our thing, and I got out of the business because real estate started coming back around for me like 2011. So I stayed in it for probably 2.5 years, going on 3 years. And so about 2011, I got back into real estate. Just recently, within the last 6-7 months, real estate has slowed down because the interest rates are going up. And so people aren't buying houses as fast anymore. So I knew then, I said, there's got to be a better way. I can't sit here and go broke. And I remember what saved my life before, junk cars. And I just remember that one morning, I was on YouTube looking up junk cars and you popped up. I'm like, man, this is my boy. Yeah. And of course, I gave you a call and here we are. And honestly, and since I've been back in, not like today, I only picked up one car today, but I made $400. How many people work a regular job, make $400 a day? I mean, this is what I love about the business. It's what I love about the business.
Yeah, not very many people make that kind of money a day. And even when the market is currently down, not currently down for us like scrap metal, but for us catalytic converters, you can still buy a vehicle, for $200-$300, and in your local state, find 5 or 6 junkyards, and whoever's willing to pay the most money for that car, and you can make your profit that way. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're hauling it, via tow dolly or trailer or tow truck. Yeah.
Well, that's what I did today. In fact, I have a Ford Ranger, but this is my baby, man. When I bought that truck, it had 65,000 miles on it. Today, it's got like 297,000 miles on it. But I went over to U-Haul today. I rented I'll go into that after this. I rented their Chevrolet Silverado for $19 plus mileage, and a tow dolly for $48. Long story short, man, today it cost me barely $100 to put, but I only towed one car. I like to tow, if I'm going to rent a vehicle, I like to do 3 or 4. But I did, $400 on one vehicle. I turned the car back in. Turned the tow dolly and stuff back in, and made $400. I really netted. Actually, I netted $300. I paid $300 for the vehicle, and the yard that I sold it to, they paid me $700. So if you subtract, not bad at all. If you subtract gas and the cost of the vehicle, I netted $300 today. Easy money. It's hot out there today, but the one of the things it's hard to find drivers. That's one of the things I'm dealing with because I want to amp up and ramp up my marketing. I want to be able to do 5-10 cars a day, but we got to have the manpower to do it.
And the vehicles out here, you can definitely buy 5 to 10 cars a day, especially if you ramp up the manpower. And as long as they can go 30-40 miles out, you already got the connection with the junkyard. You can definitely make a good profit daily, weekly, and monthly. That's why in this business, you can never go wrong buying junk cars. But it's all about the numbers and what you're paying for the vehicles. And when you break down the rubber, the aluminum wheels, the battery, the catalytic converter. Even sometimes the spark plugs, the core packs. Not core packs, but the spark plugs. You can get these things off the vehicles and sell them individually. Even the key fobs. Keep your key fobs if nothing else.
Okay. Yeah. I've learned so much from you since I've been back in the business. It's the teacher turned into the student, man. And I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful that you would spend the time that you have with my wife and myself to help us get back into the business the right way, not making any mistakes. I made one mistake last week, and you helped me with that one. You know, with that vehicle, the age that it was, and so on. And man, I'm really grateful that you helped me get back into business the right way.
And not a problem, man. Let's talk about the way you advertise, you know, when you were doing it then versus now, you know, strictly just being on Google and, you know, having some, you know, some Facebook, Craigslist, and you know, being in the different marketplaces and things like that. What's been changing for you and cost wise and things like that?
Okay, well, back when I first started, it was bandit signs. It's all bandit signs. You know, I would put out bandit signs on Thursdays and Fridays, and calls would start coming in, but it was bandit signs. Sometimes I'll put out signs on Wednesdays, but mostly it was Thursdays and Friday evenings, and the calls would start coming in Saturdays. And well, back then, it was easy to earn. On average, I would earn $1,500 a week back then. You know, cats weren't they weren't paying as much for them, but what I was used to was cutting off a catalytic inverter, still making anywhere from $80 to $100 on the catalytic inverter. So I was cool with that. If I could, you know, stack up cats throughout the week and some in my wheels, I can make an extra, you know, $1,000 just with those. And then of course, $1,500 with towing, you know, $2,500 a week. So, you know, now, and so that's what I did then. Now, bandit signs became a challenge, and putting them out every week, you know, was a little bit. It was tedious.
Yeah.
The bandit signs I could buy about 50 to 100 for a couple $100. So it wasn't too bad. But I like the new setup. Again, all the stuff that I've learned from you with the Google ads, the Facebook and marketplace, and Next. My wife does an advertising on this system called Nextdoor.
Yeah, Nextdoor.
And then of course we get. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nextdoor is really popular in the metro area.
Okay, yeah, we getting some calls from that, and of course I got signs on my vehicle says, you know, sell us your junk cars for cash, and so my advertising now probably is a little more expensive than the bandit signs, but it's less tedious than the bandit sign. I mean, I don't have to run around and stick signs in the ground, dodging the code enforcement and things of that nature. So it to me is more refined. It's more of a refined business. And anybody who wants to take control of their own economic situation, I highly recommend getting into the junk car business. You can't lose if you understand what to do, and you're a perfect person to show them how to do it.
Yeah. So how does your process go if you have 3 to 5 vehicles and you're trying to locate drivers? Because I know you're always looking for drivers in your local area.
Well, I had one that I can depend on, and his company is called Atlanta Reliable Towing, and right. you know Reggie, he's very dependable. Price can be a little pricey depending on where it's coming from and where it's going, but he's reliable. He say he's going to get it, he's going to get it. Then I have a couple other guys who just, you know, they having vehicle issues. One is an older guy, he moves like a turtle. You know them too, you know. So my challenge is getting enough manpower to deal with the opportunity that we have. I mean, I can literally help people make extra money without them doing advertising. I can do the advertising, they go pick up the vehicles, and we can make some good money together. You just got to find the right people. You know, I need somebody with a pickup truck, a tow dolly, a flatbed, something along that line. Even if you don't have that, like I said today, now I have my own Ford Ranger, but I don't want to tow a lot of vehicles with it. And I had one out in Smyrna, Georgia today, and I live in Fayetteville. Right. So instead of putting up, you know, it felt like it was 100 degrees outside. So I didn't want to, even though the vehicle that I picked up today wasn't a real big one, I just didn't want to travel that far with my Ford Ranger in the tow dolly and bring that car back. So I went to U-Haul. I rented a Chevy Silverado pickup truck that they have and a tow dolly, and drove in comfort up there to Smyrna, drove in comfort back, dropped that thing off. Took it to the junkyard, got paid, still got the check. I think this is the check rate. This is the check right here. Still got the check, haven't even dealt with it yet. Yeah. You know, but it's $700. I said I paid $300 for the vehicle.
Right.
And so yeah, but we could use the manpower if I could find some dependable, reliable people with pickup trucks, or even if you don't have a pickup truck, you know, you can rent a pickup truck for about $100 a day and do, you know, from U-Haul and get a tow dolly and make $200-$400 a day.
Yeah, and that's what I try to tell customers, you know, that want to have interest in the business, that you don't necessarily need, you know, tow truck, the tow dolly, or the trailer. You know, you can just be the car buyer, go out, still buy vehicles, and make sure your margins are right, you know, when you're getting the vehicles hauled within a certain radius, and just deal with local junkyards. Because a lot of people are under the impression that, oh, I got to spend $10,000, $20,000 to get into the business, and I got to do this marketing, that marketing. Well, you know, it's now where you have control over your marketing, right? Like, it's like, hey, you pay me to set it up for you, and then you just manage it yourself. So you don't have to pay anyone else after that, but just Google, of course. You know, when people click on your website and, you know, they want to get a hold of you and things like that. So on average, if you get 7-8 calls a day, on average, how many deals do you normally close?
Oh man, I do right now 3 to 4, and I could do 4 to 5 if I had the manpower. But on the low end, 3 and as many as 4. If I got 5, that one's going to lap over to the next day because I don't have enough time to get there to get it. I can't get in touch with a driver to go pick it up, you know, because the main yard that I go to, they close at 5 o'clock. The one yard that you introduced me to, I think they close at 3:30. So it just depends on which, you know, where it's coming from. What you know, if I'm gonna do, in your words, how you put it to the white meat. If I'm going to strip it down to the white meat, then I'm probably going to take it to the yard that closed at 3:30.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna make just a decent profit to drop it off and get it there, you know, I take it to the one that closed at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because a lot of these places now, man, you can actually go out there and get contracts with them, and they can probably get $1, $2 more, just depending on, you know, what the market is. But I mean, like I said, prices are pretty good right now. It's just the catalytic converters are down, but hopefully soon, you know, to go back up. Just gotta pay attention to Kitco Metals.
Okay.
Did you download it on your phone?
Yep. Have you seen any indications of cats going back up?
Not quite yet, but you know, some people in this industry, man, they hedge, so it's kind of like their prices are fixed, and so they may be able to pay you more than the next person will. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on who you're dealing with. But I always would like to educate people: know your catalytic converters, know what you're buying before you buy it, right? Know what that catalytic converter pays, even when the market is down, because sometimes 50, 60 converters, and you can take it to a core buyer, and you're just taking their word on what they say these prices are. But if you're not educated about it, you know, definitely, you know, reach out to us, and we can definitely assist you and help you with that as well, too.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, when breaking down like the aluminum wheels, you get pretty good profit margin on those. And let's just say you took that vehicle there. Was that vehicle a flat rate, or did you break that vehicle down?
One today was just a flat rate. As I said, the tow yard that I took it to, they offered me $700, and I bought it for $300. So you know, after, pardon me.
That vehicle was a complete vehicle.
Yeah, that was a complete vehicle. It did have an aftermarket catalytic converter. I looked up under it when I got there. It was an aftermarket cat, but you know, the yard that we take it to, they don't care as long as the cat is there, and the cat was there. It did have aluminum wheels. Okay. If it wasn't that they were offering such a profit margin that made sense, I probably would have. Well, then again, I'm thinking because it had an aftermarket cat, I would have been interested in cutting off the cat. That would have been a waste of time. But the wheels probably would have gotten me, because by the way, it was a Honda CRV. So the aftermarket cap for $10 if I'm lucky.
Yeah, about $6-7 if you're lucky.
Yeah. The wheels weren't good. You know, it did have aluminum wheels. So that's all I would have gotten off of it was aluminum wheels and a battery. So it worked perfect. But a couple of weeks ago, right before some things changed here, man, I turned in about 17 cats. No, about 14, 15 cats, and had like 20 wheels.
Oh wow!
So the cats bring me, and I was just listening to what you guys were talking about as far as cats were back in the day. I probably would have had about damn near $30,000 in cats if they was paying like they were paying before. But I ended up making about 1,300 off the cats, and about almost 300 on the wheels.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about
I
right.
want to start stacking them again. It's just that, most of the cars I'm getting now is the best kind because of the profit margin. It's easy to drop them and go. I'm hoping to get some cats and wheels this week though. I got one cat in my garage and a set of wheels in my garage.
Yeah, it just depends on the year, make, and model of the vehicles. Like anything 08 and newer, they're paying good profit margins on them, especially if you can get the customer down to a price that's reasonable. Factor in, your towing and things like that. What are your thoughts on people saying that, the market is saturated in this city and even any other cities as well? Because I know you talked about setting up in another city once you kind of market dominated, because I think in this Atlanta market, it's not oversaturated. I just don't think it's enough people out here buying cars and they don't really know how to advertise. Right now it's the time to strike while the fire is hot and just buy everything.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's saturated. I mean, think about it. The average household has 2, maybe 3 cars.
Yeah.
And eventually one of them's going down. The older I'm passing neighborhoods all the time where you can see cars been sitting in people's yards for years that haven't moved up under trees, and just so I think it's saturated. I just don't, I want to do it in my hometown in Motor City. I'm gonna set that up with my cousin with your help. But I don't see it being saturated, man. If you're advertising, when we turn on our ads the way you taught us how to do it, when we turn on our ads, we get calls. We get calls. We get clicks. We get calls. We get what do they call it when they not I forget what they call it when they just looking at them. I guess what's that word? I forget the name of what it's called. When they just, I guess they just look at it and don't click. So impressions. Jackie said we've had 40 impressions today. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, how many clicks have we had? So we get clicks, we get calls, we get impressions, and when we turn on our ads, calls come through. And so I got no complaints.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, what do you see in the next 6 months for you and your business, as far as Keys Buy Junk Cars?
Well, where I came back in I'm gonna tell you, I think I told you way back in the day, I would have never left the business before if I could have figured out how to do it in a way where I didn't have to do all of the work. And so in my mind, and me asking you questions, I'm trying to figure out how to turn this into a Uber style setup or Lyft tiles. How do we turn this into, with all the technology nowadays, there's got to be something more we can do to make this where we just focus on the marketing and going paying for the vehicles and having somebody in line to go pick them up and take them where they need to go after they've been inspected. What I want to do for over the next 6 months is get in a position where all I'm doing is going and paying for vehicles and somebody's picking them up, taking them where they need to go. If I have to, I learn how we can Zelle the drivers or Cash App. We can Zelle or Cash App well, I don't know if I want to Zelle or Cash App the sellers of the vehicles because I like to inspect them. Right. Nobody's going to inspect them the way we will. Nobody's going to get up under. You send a driver, he may or may not look up under there. All he's trying to do is get it loaded up and get out of there. So I need to make sure that the catalytic converter is there. Have an idea if it's original or aftermarket. I want to look at the wheels. So I don't mind driving my little 6-cylinder Ford Ranger around the city and just paying for them and let somebody else and pick them up. So that's what I like to see within the next 6 months is just paying for them and having a crew and a team in place going to get them.
Let's talk about the importance of paperwork, when you're buying these vehicles and, you have to run VIN checks on them because you have a lot of yards now, that, hey, we don't buy vehicles that have lanes. We don't buy vehicles that have this, what I'm saying? And the importance of that. You want to talk about that real quick if you can? Yeah,
absolutely. What I do is when I get something that's they don't have any title or they don't have now other than the mistake that I had that you helped me with. Yeah. They don't have a title, but they got if they don't have, I'm looking for an insurance card. I'm looking for a registration. something that ties that vehicle to them, something with a VIN number on it that has their name and hopefully the current address or where they live. So those are the kinds of things I look for if they don't have a title. Now, of course, we can't buy a vehicle without a title if it's 2012 and newer, or is it 2013 and newer?
2012 and newer.
2012 and newer, we can't, they have to have a title. It's 2012 and newer. So 2011 and older, I'm looking for an insurance card, or a registration that ties them to the vehicle that they want to sell. So that's, and then what I'm doing at that point, because they don't have a title, is a bill of sale. So I'm filling out the bill of sales. I look at their driver's license. I'm putting their driver's license on the bill of sale, because I'm gonna turn that bill of sale over to the yard. And I'll tell you what I started doing. I put the seller's phone number up under their signature. So if anybody has any questions, and they need to get in touch with somebody, they can. Every bill of sale I've turned in has the seller's phone number on it also. They have the address. It has the address, their license number, their picture ID license number, and sometimes I take a picture of the license, but basically I just get the driver's license number, and I get but I put their phone number there also.
Yeah, and I talk about the importance of customers, not customers, but buyers. When you are buying these vehicles, just make sure that everything is complete, because it's a lot of drivers that you may not even be aware of that they don't run VIN checks on cars. They just take them to the yard, and they may be there 2-3 days, maybe 5 days, and then the yard calls the customer, or the customer comes back with a vehicle, then the police is called because the vehicles are stolen. And I try to educate junk car buyers, tow drivers about the importance of running VIN checks on all your vehicles, every last one. You can download bumper.com. You can get auto check if you got a dealer's license or a business license, and you can get the VIN checks, and it'll let you know the complete history of the vehicle. And if it has a lane, if it don't have a lane, you can buy it or not buy it. It really costs you nothing to run a VIN check. You got to stay safe out here, because one thing you don't want to do is get locked up buying stolen property.
Absolutely.
But also too, to that, when you buying these cars, and then when you get the converter system off, make sure that you take that VIN number, you write it down, but you also associate it with that vehicle that you have, just in case you pull it over. That VIN number for that vehicle that you bought, it goes with that car that you bought as well too. And so that your license out here, and selling your catalytic converters with a business license, and anything in the automotive space. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always learning from you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, but I think so how many vehicles do you have lined up for tomorrow?
We have not turned on the ad, because I want to get back here and actually, because if I had it on, it's 7:00 here. If I had it on, the phone would be ringing, and I didn't want to interrupt what we got going on here. And I may turn it on from the time that we end our meeting to about 9:00. Just depends. I might just turn it on just to see what happens. But again, something else I learned from you. We run it half through the day, and by the time I'm picking up cars, I call my wife, tell her to turn it off, and then we turn it back on about between 5:30, 6:00. Normally I would have it on right now, but because of what we're doing, I don't. So don't really have anything lined up. But I know once I turn it on, I'll have one or two at least tomorrow. So taking it. I had a good weekend in cars and money. Last week was decent. Today, like I said, I started out the day with with more money than the average person make on a regular job daily. So it's a business that helps you feel confident that you can support your family. Right. It makes you feel good to know that you can make money. On your own, being self-reliant and economically independent.
Good.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I might overtalk you. I apologize. I was saying that it feels good. If you don't have the right education, you can get out here and still do this. Just common sense. You just got to just know your numbers and your margins, and that's it.
It's easy to make anywhere from 2,500 to $5,000 a week in the business.
I totally
A
agree.
week.
I totally, yeah.
So you could be, if you did it right, you could be doing anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a month.
Yeah, with the right team, of course, for sure.
Yeah. Building a team, very important to have a good team.
Yeah, team is always good. Team is always good. You know, one thing I wish in this business, even when I first met you, I was like, Keith, man, I was wondering, I wanted to ask you, why don't we have a union for junk car buyers?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Because then it's leverage the junkyards to pay you more money for your vehicles.
Or we take them someplace else or start doing it ourselves.
You ain't lying.
Thinking big is very important, man. You know, that's what I want. You know, Rashad. One of the things, you know, I don't know if, at the beginning of COVID, all kind of silly things were going on with crime and us Black people being targeted with you know, police brutality and so on. And back then I was trying to figure out, I want to contribute some kind of way to, you know, to because our people, we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to financing and finances and so on. We got people coming from all over the world and just passing us up because we're not paying attention to what's happening with the money. You know, we got our minds on things that just don't matter. And believe it or not, man, our minds are money magnets. We can attract whatever we want with our minds, but we got to want the right things. And so I wanted to be able to get to younger people. I mean, kids in elementary school. The younger that you are, when you understand what you want, the more likely you have it at a younger age. You gotta be focused on something that matters, something that makes sense. And have you ever heard the term "you become what you think about"?
Not that one right there, but that's new to me.
A guy named Earl Nightingale.
Okay.
Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about. You ever Google it? Check it out on YouTube. Incredible information. But it's think about this. Is what I want you to understand. Everything that man has thought about is what we deal with now. Someone had to think about a car before it was invented, before it was produced. Someone had to think about a bed. Someone's thinking, what can I sleep on? A bed. Okay, so what is a bed? Everything comes from your mind. Your mind is a magnet for success, or your mind can be a magnet for failure. So, because you become what you think about. If you're thinking about success, you can have success. If you're thinking about failure, you will have failure. Whatever you think about the most is what you're going to have in life. And that's why I wanted to be a part of, you know, I thought about it, right, like I said, during COVID. I wanted to do something like this, but I wanted to direct it to young people, particularly our young people, to help them understand the younger that you are and start thinking about success, focusing on success, having an idea what you want to do, the more likely you have it at a younger age.
I totally agree with you, Keith. And on that note, I ain't gonna hold you too much longer. You know, we were in the process of trying to get accredited to actually teach the youth in the school system, and you know, at some technical schools, because it's like now, you know, they have the trucking that you can do when inmates come out of prison. You know what I'm saying? And you know, kids as well coming out of high school that don't want to finish. And I feel like, you know, this is a great trade to learn.
It is.
You can excel in it with rapid speed. You know, just have the common sense to want to learn it. And, you know, of course we can teach you it. You know, we're still working on that, man. Got a long ways to go, but it's I don't think it's caught up with people yet. People still don't quite understand the junk car buying business.
That's too bad, because it can be simple, and you can, you know, keep your taxes paid, you know, keep your track of your gas mileage, and it is a real lucrative business. I know lots of guys who they're pulling junk cars with old beat up jalopies. They go home to beautiful homes and drive off in their BMWs on the weekends. And a lot of the guys don't even work on weekends that do what we do.
They don't.
Just don't, because they don't have to. You make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in a week. You don't want to be bothered on after a certain hour on a Friday and to Monday morning.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how we can change lives. Like you said, guys coming out of jail and they're not going to be able to get a job that, you know, other than flipping fries if they're lucky, you know, even though McDonald's may pay $10 or $14 an hour now, but after taxes, you lucky if you're making $500 a week.
Yeah,
this is a business you can make $500 a day.
A day, easily, a day.